podcast listeners, do you remember hearing or seeing this conversation from last year? I have not read a more hysterical ripoff of Tom Stoppard since the original founders of the Reduced Shakespeare Company created their 20-minute Hamlet.
It's rarefied air, Austin. We're happy to be among such titans of the theater.
Yeah, man.
I read this script when you sent it to me, and I was astonished it worked as well on the page as it did, because it has no right working as well as it does.
Yeah.
Well, that was from last August 2025, when my guests Michael Doherty and Will Mobley were here talking about their play Dogberry Verges Are Scared, which was about to open at the Philadelphia Fringe Festival. Well, now, it's almost a year later. Dogberry Verges Are Scared is in the middle of a 3-week run here at the Cincinnati Shakespeare Company, and it's going to the Edinburgh Fringe Festival next month, 2026, and I will be playing Verges when it goes to Edinburgh. Such is the power of the Reduced Shakespeare Company podcast.
And we are happy to have you on board, Austin. It's Austin, right?
It is.
There's so many emails and
No, we're
begging and screaming and pleading. Please see me. Come
so thrilled that you're going to be joining us in Scotland. We feel incredibly lucky that you're coming on board this very silly play, and it does feel like kismet.
Yeah.
Thinking back to a year ago, having that conversation. So we feel really lucky.
Well, I feel lucky too. I mean, as everybody knows, I have loved this play since I first read it earlier, like a year and a half ago, almost, I think now, and now I've gotten to see it on its feet here with almost the original cast. Tony Lawton as Verges, on whose comic shoulders I am standing, and Mike Doherty, you've had to step on stage into the role of Dogberry because Scott Greer had to reluctantly step aside. What's it like? I wanted to ask, what's it been like to see the journey of your play, to see it on its feet? But the companion question is, Mike, what's it like being inside the script now? Having to make the words that you wrote live.
Yeah, totally. It's funny because at first it felt suboptimal to not have the outside eye on it. But with one of us outside, one of us inside of it, we've actually gotten like so much more perspective on how to make this work. We've been able to collaborate on how to make moments work after each preview and make sure that every joke is worded exactly as it should be. And we can just swap out a punchline night to night and find the best version of the thing. And I'm learning so many more like micro moment to moment things just being inside the mind of the guy that, I don't know, it's broader strokes when you're writing,
Yeah, it's been such a gift actually to get to not only experience the play from the outside through Mike's lens, and I know that Mike is giving the delivery that we've both imagined in our heads when we were writing the thing. There's no extra layer of translation there. It's been really rewarding to get to see. And for those of you out there who don't know, Mike is an incredible clown. The show is so funny and so good. We of course have so much love and we miss Scott, but this production, I think, was very lucky that Mike was able to and is the kind of actor who could step into a role like this and to be able to pull it off. So,
and you both are actors by trade, and in fact, you met playing Dogberry and Verges, these very characters, up at the Milwaukee Rep in 2023. Did you have a renewed or a newfound sense of sympathy for Scott and the other actors, Mike, when you got on stage? You went, "Oh, holy crap! Now I've got to make this work."
The amount of times I said, "Who wrote this crap?" throughout our process was insane. I had the benefit of, co-writing the darn thing, so there was that. And I've known Tony Lawton a really long time, so there was that built-in chemistry.
Well, that's lovely.
Yeah,
that's great.
He saw me in the first professional thing I ever did in Philly. We've done many shows together, known each other for decades at this point. So that was really helpful. But yeah, it's kind of amazing when you suddenly see a little lapse in logic in how we get from one point to another. And yeah, again, getting really into the nitty gritty illuminates things to us. And I think we really have not only the tightest version of our script right now, but the most intuitive that it's ever been.
I think that's right. And, you know, given the fact that Mike and I have been collaborating on the script for these last several years, we have a really great way of communicating with one another that is more or less without ego. And
What's that supposed to mean?
I wouldn't know. But it has really lent itself to us being able to have some incredibly nerdy and exciting conversations about comedy math, where after a run, I can say to Mike, like, what's happening inside this moment for you? And Mike can say, what's happening from the audience's perspective? How can we milk another laugh out of this?
Yeah.
And, like, really getting into the guts of it from both angles. I mean, it's been such a gift, and I don't think I realized how special and informative it was going to be.
You know what's incredible too is, like, in our early stages, we were trying to figure out what this play was. As we're starting very early stages of our next projects, we're trying to, like, learn what even the sandbox is. At this point, this play is so crystallized that when one of us has an idea, like 99% of the time now, we're like, yes, that's it. That's the thing we've been after. We're so in harmony with making this thing at this point.
And as I'm sure you know, as after you have been working on something for a number of years, once you sharpen those certain moments, other moments start to stand out in more contrast. Like, you know, if everything around a certain beat is truth, and inside of that beat it's not quite measuring up, it becomes very, very obvious. And so that's just been a really exciting part of this process. And, like, Mike is also a really quick study, so we've been able to make some changes on the fly. And like he said, this is I think the best version of the show and of the script that we've had so far.
Well, and it will just continue to evolve. I mean, of all of our scripts, some of which we wrote decades ago, every now and then we'll go, oh, well, that's the punchline we've been looking for 30 years.
Yeah.
Why the hell did it take us that long to figure that out?
Why did it take us this long to get there? I know.
Yeah. Well, and talking of casting, I want to thank you on behalf of me and other character actors of a certain age.
Yeah.
Because your vision of these two clowns, Dogberry and Verges, is that they are both older gentlemen for whom this is maybe their last chance. And so, Mike, I know that you resisted playing Dogberry a little bit because you and Tony Lawton are not the same age. You're younger than he is. And so joining me in Edinburgh will be a Chicago-based actor and friend of the pod, Ron Raines.
Amazing.
And we're both older gentlemen. And I think it's wonderful that you had this insight to do this, and I'm wondering, how did that occur to you two whippersnappers?
Yeah. Well, we've seen so many readings of it at this point, just friends that we've worked with along the way. Probably we did about 6 readings plus this production. And we've seen a lot of different people in these roles, and there's something about when they're young and plucky that just rings a little like, they got their whole lives ahead of them. If they're screw-ups now, they're going to be okay.
Right.
And when they're, like, past middle age, that there's this sense of desperation, of urgency, that just brings something out early in this play to make the stakes feel really high and really satisfying to watch.
Sense of patheticness, decrepitude.
I'm going to be really careful when I talk about this play.
Seriously.
Too late!
You know, there's also it also does a little bit of work for us dramaturgically if these two guys show up on stage together and they're both of a certain age. You immediately start to assume that they've known each other for a long time, and so that, I don't know, it just does a little bit of heavy lifting for us early on to let the audience know what kind of relationship they're watching.
Yeah, casting is an art, not a science, and you have
Yeah.
to look at these two guys and know exactly who they are from the jump. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Because it's like it's the combination of Dogberry's ego and where he's at in his life that makes for the cocktail of
Yeah.
desperation. You know,
Um, one thing I think that this play accomplishes really well is, I mean, in the same way that Rosencrantz Guildenstern does, in the same way, if I can pat myself on the back, the comedy of Hamlet, a prequel does, it explains the characters, Shakespeare's characters, in ways that give you insight into the play these characters are from. So I think you can come see Dogberry and Verges Are Scared and get insight not only into the two clowns of Dogberry and Verges, but insight into Hero, insight into Don John, the villain. How it was that a goal when you set out to write it, or was that a thing you discovered in the writing process?
I think for us, it really started out as a collection of bits and jokes that we found very funny. I mean, that was
You write the same way we do. Oh, interesting.
yeah. I mean, it is like we are clowns. We lead from the codpiece, so to speak. Like it is like very much, we are very comedy forward. But we knew that in order for it to be more than just a sketch, that there had to be some pathos and some depth. And we also had felt, after doing this production of Much Ado About Nothing, a little baffled at the fact that in this play, Hero gets back together with Claudio, and there's not really a great answer in Shakespeare's text for why. And we wanted to explore that. And
or a very clear motivation for Don John as to the why.
Yeah, as I was going to say, like Don John is also a character that just sort of says, I am a villain because I like to be. And we wanted to uncover more of that. And I think, it's partially a tribute to the excellent actors that we have seen in our careers play those roles and bring that humanity to them. And feeling like we kind of want to give these two characters a little bit more of a reason to do what they do and be who they are, as a way to, honor these great performances that we've seen, and as a way to make our play feel like a play with a capital P. Now, I will say, we bury the lead. And we don't reach those moments until about 3/4 of the way through the script. So we really make people sort of wait for the heart. But in my experience of watching it in Philadelphia and here in Cincinnati, it is worth it. And the audience really responds to those moments of depth and pathos.
Yeah, we've been saying
Part of it is you only kind of wait for it in the text, but you get it from the casting, you get it from the relationships. You realize that these are real relationships, and these are real people. And I think I said in my Folger article, unexpected humanity in these clowns, which you're right, we think, oh, we're coming in to see a silly comedy. Holy crap, these guys are real, and they've got some things going on, and that's interesting.
And it's our hope that from the first beat of the play, that the stakes are high enough that depth and that dimensionality exists, even though the first bit of the play is a bunch of gags and language humor and bits and jokes, but that the stakes are there and the relationship is there, so that when we get to that 3/4 mark and the sort of like emotional centerpiece of the play, it doesn't feel like it's coming out of left field. It feels like it's been germinated from the first moment.
So you're in the middle. We're almost quite in the middle of the Cincinnati Shakespeare run, the kind of a 2.5 week, almost 3 weekends run. That's the longest run I think this play has had, and then it's going to go on to Edinburgh for an entire month. What's it been like to see the show night after night, and how it evolves night after night, and the changes being made? I mean, Mike, maybe especially for you, because you're on stage living it now.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see. We've had very different reactions from audience to audience. Just smaller houses are inherently quieter, but it's interesting to see what are the constants, what hits every time. And like Will is saying, we get to a certain point in the play, and I think it becomes so rich because there is a deep emotional investment that, like, at a certain point, all audiences kind of unify, and the quality of the laugh changes at that point to something that is just like, I don't know, more earned, because we've gotten somewhere that there is there is a depth, there's a reason to be watching this other than to be amused. So it's cool to see night to night, like two very different starting points from a smaller house to a larger house kind of converge.
I bet. What's it like watching it from the outside, Will?
Excruciating. It is. I kid, of course. I sit there with a huge, stupid grin on my face every night because I am watching incredible artists execute something that we wrote at the beginning kind of as a lark. I mean, a bit of it's like, we didn't know where it was going to go or what it was going to be. We just knew that we wanted to capitalize on our like comedic chemistry and our friendship. And to see it reach this place and to be executed with such precision by such excellent artists, it is such a gift. And then on top of that, I sat up in the balcony last night and I was watching the faces of the people in the audience, and to get to see, the more mature members of the audience really laughing at certain things, and the younger members of the audience really laughing at certain things, and then both of them laughing at the same things. Or I was sitting in the other night and I heard people behind me quoting back lines that they thought were really funny. Like an actor would say a line that they thought was funny, and they would like turn to their partner and say, "He just said blah blah blah." Like, it is such a rewarding experience, and I can't describe it. I just feel so full and joyful every night, even if the reaction is a bit more muted if it's a smaller house. There are so many nights in the theater as an actor where you walk off stage and you say, like, that was the worst show of my life and I hated it. And then you talk to somebody who was there and they said that was amazing. It's a little bit like that. Like, I feel from the minute the play starts until the end, the audience is with us and they love it and they are amused by it, even if it's not, playing like gut-busting laughter from the first minute. So it's really great to get to have that experience of it.
Well, I can't wait to start getting on my feet and putting it into my bones,
Yes.
and letting you know some thoughts I have about the text, and me going, do I really have to get down on the ground? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be a really interesting process bringing two new actors in, and I think that we're going to learn, so much more about the script, and I think that there probably will be some shaping of it around you and Ron, but I don't know, as playwrights, we really feel like we're being given a gift to get to see it in so many different hands, and as Mike was saying earlier, it helps us to make the most intuitive version of the script.
This podcast is a production of the Reduced Shakespeare Company, reducing expectations since 1981. Go to reducedshakespeare.com for performance dates, actor bios, email newsletters, and so much less.